We're good.
All right, good evening, everyone. I am very glad all of you got here safely because it was pretty soupy driving here when I got off the freeway. And I called my husband and said, "Ooh, it's going to be a long ride home for me to Random Lake, Wisconsin tonight. I think I might drive real slow and real safe." So thank you, and I hope you do the same. I know you had a lot of reading to do for tonight. We're going to really work on the strengths and opportunities tonight and dig in, and then do a little bit around just looking ahead a little bit and give you a precursor of what we'll do next time. And the best news is you have no more reading for next time, so we're ahead of the game in that respect, so thank you. Brian and I are happy to be with you tonight. Our third meeting, and we're really starting to make some ground now in terms of where we're heading. Thank you, great team, for being here. Welcome, everyone. And I know we're missing a few people because of illness, and that's going to happen. So, who's not here?
I know Brian Bassett, and I know Nicole Cox.
Ashley and
Billy.
we'll see. Nicole, that's right. So we'll see what's up. This is the agenda for tonight. We've got this welcome, icebreaker, review norms. We're going to quickly review the minutes, and I'd like to do that just to make sure that if there's any changes, corrections, that we do that, even though we don't formally approve them. We're going to spend the bulk of our time in number 3, really looking at some strengths and opportunities from these comments and trying to see what we might want to make as initial thoughts for the strategic plan. And we'll go through a pretty structured activity to do that as we move forward. So as we look, I thought it was important to just look at these norms that we talked about every night, because I think tonight, especially as and next time, as we start to say, no, this is an important idea for the strategic plan. No, this is an important idea for the strategic plan. It's really important to remember, I think these two in the ideas. Someone may disagree with you, right? And in all likelihood, that may be the case. And it could be one of us saying, that's a really great idea, but that's not something for the strategic plan. It's not going to take us 5 years to accomplish, right? And then listen respectfully to those voices that differ, because we're going to get, for the next 2 months, we're going to be in the meat of it, really looking at what's important. And in that respect, I think it's important that we just check ourselves and remind ourselves, be open to those new ideas, because ultimately we'll have consensus around what that looks like. So I thought it was a good idea, as we just got ourselves thinking and talking and percolating a little bit, to take a look at the mission statement again. The Merton Community School District will foster academic excellence while inspiring curiosity and personal growth. And just as you and I didn't expect that you would read and take notes on all of these 22 pages of themes, but as you looked at them, where did that come up? Now, you may not have seen the word mission, but where did you see some of those things get talked about in a way? And just think of one, and why don't you do this? So, because we're going to be sitting a lot and talking tonight, get up, find someone you don't know well in the room, and just have a brief 5-minute conversation around where did you see the mission starting to unearth itself in these comments.
We have several tables set up, so you can just...
You can move around, but we're not going to write on them tonight.
Okay.
No writing, just talking. So find someone, stand, sit, whatever, stay in this room, but we got 5 minutes.
Convenience.
And I know your hard copy had yellow highlights and shaded highlights, so...
I mean, I've reviewed it. I don't think I'm
We're asking, so where in this document, where do you see our mission coming about? Like, for instance, sound academic preparation. To me, that's academic excellence.
Yep.
So,
got it. Okay, I'm on board now.
yeah, yep. So when I think of, academic excellence, I think it's an easy one to find. I'm looking for the curiosity and personal growth, like staff.
Yeah, personal growth.
Wants to learn.
Help each other.
Students.
Larry, there are inspiring curiosity, STEM, empowering, diverse, taking risk, problem solving.
Student opportunities.
Knowing the lessons learned, I think that's
These numbers are right here. No, they coded every person, so like if you went to a session, you were number 19 or 32. Right.
It was the 19th comment. I'm gonna go through that.
Oh, the 19th comment is not about a person. It's not coded to a specific person.
But we did code it from the sessions, and that's why we're not sharing that, because it would be then identifiable.
Correct. Okay.
But I wanted to make sure that people saw it. I tried to explain that at the beginning.
Got it.
We're gonna call it up and look at it anyway, so we can
Okay.
look at that.
Teaching and learning priorities. Programming academic excellence, that's there. Curiosity, there's a lot of.
Say the kitchen pieces, curriculum,
Empowering students to have voice. That would be accountability.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
It's all.
never, in my time here, like on that.
It's so hard to get if you don't have it.
They got rid of this.
Don't have some place that's built.
I started my teaching and leadership career in Shorewood, which had a very good strings program. Went to Cedarburg, great band program with strings. And this is, I mean, I'm really old. It cost about $500,000 to get that program started X number of years ago. And that wasn't even taking into account equity issues.
Yeah.
To be independent, so offer any student different instruments. I don't know how you started. I mean, it's just really a tough thing.
It's more in category 1 or 3. Meaning the
Right.
other ones are opportunities, education priorities.
Yeah. I think some of the things.
Like, I saw stuff about children, so that's my department, right? It's like, oh, check for me, gold star for the STEM program, but it does make me wonder, the little, like, I truly believe, makerspace is good for all of our kids. Like, I'm curious, you know, kind of the collaboration that, like, we teach kids communication, like, those same things that you work in so heavily, okay? Makerspace is the opportunity, like, so curricular, it's so important, so makerspace.
Was it? Wipe them out?
Explore STEM. I don't know if Bill anymore. They just know like one vibration.
Yeah, yeah.
Curious about where curiosity lies for the kid who wants to story
I assume that.
One more minute.
go really deep into something academic.
Right, yeah. Because then I coded that in person. To avoid this. We got 906 right now. There you go. Any teachers any business flex to this whole personality approach, which you can get as extremely small. You like cars. All right, well, let's cater. And then it gets, yeah, I gotta go.
Did any trouble finding it?
No, I'm sorry.
Work never ends.
Tripping.
Like, this is what we trade our
Thank
kids.
you, Mr. Searcher, I appreciate that.
You are wonderful. It's really kind of you.
Yeah.
Did you ask him what took so long? Is that what you said?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm glad he found us.
Yeah.
They're,
I didn't know who that would be. What's in the shop?
yeah, I'm on the top shelf.
All right, what's a key idea that you talked about? What was something where you saw the mission commented on? Where did you find the mission commented on? How about, can you guys start? Where did you see the mission being talked about? One place.
An overall sense of academic excellence.
Academic excellence came out loud and clear as
Academic
this.
excellence both for student and for staff and faculty, the desire to be able to hire good faculty and then also provide growing education for them.
Thank you, thank you. What about you guys? What did you talk about?
So we caught the academic excellence piece like you guys did. We talked about inspiring curiosity a number of times, like STEM education and technology ed are wrapped in there. And then we went to the piece of like, okay, so on our last strategic plan, that's the route we went down for inspiring curiosity. We're gonna build this STEM program, but what other curiosities are we missing? Where are we missing kids who don't wanna be an engineer or continue being curious about robots, but they wanna be curious about history or about string
Don't lose that
instruments?
comment, that's a really powerful one. What about you guys? What did you talk about?
Well, to kind of think that, we did find some personal growth opportunities by not having a one-size-fits-all curriculum, trying to tailor to meet student needs. Is kind of something different that hasn't been talked about yet.
Thank you. And you guys? Anyone? I know
I'm
a
gonna
lot
go
of
off on a
ideas
limb.
taken already.
We didn't really actually talk about this, but I do think.
Thank you for your,
We did talk about the other three, but I really think.
thank you for your honesty.
The communication priorities, what I thought was interesting is just the like redundancy of things and like how much information parents get and like how do we streamline that information? Because coming from my own kid's school, I feel that same way, like, what am I supposed to read? Like, give me the bulleted list, or like, how do we make that so it's more accessible? Because we do get a lot of information, but it's not only coming from all levels, it's coming from all of us too that are teaching as well. So as an organization, how do we streamline?
And you're gonna see that quagmire kind of represented in the survey. You know,
As
because
a
we gotta
person
sort
that
it
sat
out.
at all 15 of those sessions, it was amazing how many times you heard almost the exact same thing said over and over regarding that.
You should have started with, we know communication
Yeah.
needs to improve. What else?
But no, I mean, I think we got a few nuggets to pull out that way.
And it wasn't just about,
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't like these, the last
it was
one?
the value. We love the, you
Yeah,
know,
please.
we're gonna communicate with, but we can't
Take it all in. Yep.
But I also think that communication comes from the result of when you hear surveys of like, improve your communication. So you improve your communication by trying to sometimes do more, right? And then all of a sudden, because the initial message is, we don't get enough, or we don't know about that, but.
It's a really
but I like
difficult
that, yeah,
one
but
to
then you
get to
override,
the,
and so I think it is, I
It's a-
definitely hear it though, I saw.
it's a
we need
hard
funnel
one
it.
to get to the bottom of, there is no doubt. All right, thanks, that was just meant to get us into this, and we're gonna take a good look at this document today. Are there any questions about the? Sam, you went ahead faster than I thought. Are there any questions about the minutes? I know they're long, I'm just trying to capture some of the activities that we did. So I hope that you had a chance to look at them. I think that this is something that we will be coming back to as we look at strategic plan ideas. So this might be a set to keep because it's got some good data points in it regarding the different pieces that we looked at regarding the school perception survey and other things. So are there any questions about the minutes? Okay. I want to go to the key themes and just talk about something with you, with them. And make sure that we're on the same wavelength. And I again want to thank you for all the reading and taking a look at it. I'm going to make this larger so that. So as we look at it, I wanted to just show you what we did and make sure that we're all on the same wavelength, because the beginning of it is kind of hard to understand. But what we did was we coded them by comment number, not by person, but they are attached to a person. And the reason I use the term comment number is sometimes, and I probably won't find a good example, the comment is here and might be somewhere else because it was a long comment around the strength, you know, and so we grabbed pieces of it and put it in different places. And I want to be very candid with you. This part about sound academic preparation, reputation for student achievement, I'm going to say those are my bucket wording language as I did this. These are the exact things people said. And the reason we're not giving you the database is that's associated with a person. Someone could say, I said that. That's exactly what was said. So what you see is, and I'm going to be honest with you, we could perseverate about, well, wait a minute, maybe we could have had a bucket on this and we could have had a bucket on this. You're right, we probably could have. we did the best job we could, as Brian and I looked at it, to try and say these were the ones. And then all that you see is if it's yellow, it's because the most comments were there. It's in the top big 5, right? So, and this is what we kind of talked about last time. Lots of people talked about academics in the district being a strength. Lots of people talked about the staff, about a sense of belonging, and different programs they liked, technology and STEM, and opportunities.
You may want to point out how many comments there were to sort through.
Yeah, I think there were over 900.
Yeah, so,
Um,
yeah.
because
So yeah, that's really the point. It was a rich information source there with all the information from all the visioning sessions. So there was plenty of comments to go through, plenty of feedback.
And the thing, you know, and on one hand, I'd say from 60 people, we have to keep that in mind. We'll have much more in the way of the survey, but we couldn't manage the survey with all open-ended questions. So what we're trying to do is vet. So this is what we heard. Would you have others? You know, kind of that idea. Make sense? And Brian will talk a little bit about that. Are there any questions around the survey? I mean, about the comments themselves or anything there?
Audience participation?
No, it's, we're gonna get it, we're gonna get there.
It seems like what I would expect.
Good, I mean, that's a good finding, right? It shouldn't be, you'd hope it wasn't something where you'd go, I never thought of that. I mean, I think particularly around strengths, and, you know, the part that is really the big work that we'll do is, and you'll see it start to percolate a little bit tonight. Some ideas of what will be big, what I'll call big bucket ideas are already emerging, you can sense it. And then there's other ideas that might be in the big bucket that you want to consider, or some things that'll never make it in the bucket, but you still want to do something about. And then there are also some comments that you go, that's maybe someone's opinion, but I don't think it's a priority for this plan, or it's something that is germane for the plan. So they'll fall into some different guidelines that way. So, as we look at the key themes, I want to just have you think about some challenges, because we're going to spend the next 2 months with these key themes, and then we're going to compare them to the key themes from the survey that's going to go out in the next couple days and see what we start to unearth as we put those pieces together and triangulate. But I want to be really honest and give you some committee strengths around how to look at this before we begin. So the first warning is, trust the process. We are just at the beginning. We've looked at a lot of data though. I mean, we've looked at school perceptions data, we've looked at the dashboard, we've looked at jobs of the future. Now you have looked at what 60 people thought. We've looked at a lot of data, but we aren't done yet. We still have more data to do. So anything we do now is still initial. But we're gonna start to get working on it because we might as well. I mean, we don't need to just sit in the world of ideas. We can start to make some things concrete now. We can always change it. But trust the process. We're just starting. Want to add something?
No, I've been through it before, I kind of know.
And you do trust it?
I trust this process. The next one is, don't get lost in the data. There's a reason we're not giving you the big database. It's gigantic. Where this is 22 pages, that's about 180 pages, right? And you don't want to get lost in one comment, right? You don't want to get lost in the data. Keep thinking big, right? What's rising to the top is what you should keep asking yourself. What's rising to the top? When you start to get stuck, think big. And remember, our task, and this is what I think is so hard about a strategic plan, is this last thing. We're creating something that you're going to work on for 5 years, not something you can fix tomorrow. We're going to start to get a parking lot of things that we could start to work on that may not go in the plan. But this is big work, right? Big, big work. So I think it's important to not get lost in one comment. And there's 2 ways I think you get lost in a comment. One is when you disagree with it, or it hurts. And I'm not gonna lie, there is part of the data that hurts, right? I mean, I look at some of the comments and I go, ooh, people are pretty blunt at times, right? And it's pretty verbatim, right? I mean, it's what they said. And it can hurt, and then you I mean, I don't know the normal reaction, it's fight or flight, right? Sometimes you go, well, that's not true, or that's, they really don't know, or you know, and then I think we get defensive sometimes. And you might all feel that, right, in some certain ways. You know, there's comments about teachers getting, you know, do this better, comments about board members, Ron, principals. I mean, there's a lot of data there that you could say, ooh, this hurts sometimes, right? And just remember, it's one person's comment, right? It's one person's comment, and it's the way they said it, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily what lots of people feel. However, sometimes you have to look inward and say, it's not about the people, it's about the process. Could we improve this process regarding teacher getting stuff home or redundancy or, you know, those types of things? How do we improve the process? It's not personal, but it's hard, and I'm not gonna lie. I've been on the receiving end of survey data and comments. It's hard. So try not to deny the data or take it personally. The other thing that I know happens to me, this thing's not working real well
Yeah, I
today,
noticed what was hopping on you there.
is to really check your biases. And where this falls into place is things you agree with. This is the flip side of things you disagree with. It's when you find that comment that you go, oh yeah, we should do this. It should go in the plan, and then you look, oh, there's only one number after it, meaning one of 60 people said it. But I agree with it, so it should go in, right? I mean, those are also the biases we have, is I really think this is something we should do. And the piece that I would tell you is, this is the school districts, this is the community's plan. This isn't your plan or your plan or your plan. This is the work that we're going to do collectively as a whole. So just think about it that way. It's not about what you feel is important, as hard as that is for me to say. It's about what the whole group feels is important. And that's hard, because there are things you agree with. I'm the first person to say, I have a bias around communication plans. It's the first thing I'll run to. It's the example I gave tonight. You'll see in a little bit. It's what I tend to gravitate toward, and I have to remember, that may not be right. That may not be right. But I gravitate toward it all the time. It's my passion. It's what I really like.
And I gravitate to facilities and buildings and stuff like that, just from my background, so, you know, it comes out in everybody, you know. This is HVAC, I'm all over it. But back to the, no, yeah, the HVAC, it didn't come up at all, so hey.
Good job, Jordan.
Yeah. But that's one of the reasons not to give you 180 pages. It helps you guide you in not having those biases one way or another.
And the last just advice before we start our activities with the data is, I love this quote, choosing what you do is more important than trying to do it all, right? The last thing you can have in this strategic plan is 28 action items, 28, you know, different things under pillars. You will never get it done. So as hard as that is, and this is going to happen more in, I'm going to say in about 2 months than it is now. Right now, it's not about vetting the ideas. Right now, we're just going to take them down. But then you're going to have to say, yeah, you know what? This one may not make it. And that's okay. That's okay, because that's what you avoid, is it sits and doesn't get done, and then you feel worse.
And that's where some friction can come in.
So those are just some pieces of advice as we look at the data. So this is a long piece of information about an activity we're going to do now. Tonight we're going to really delve into the strengths and the opportunities, just to get used to some activities. And then we're going to do one little piece of an activity we're going to do next time with all 4 pillar areas, just so that you can get a sense of it. The strengths and opportunities are pretty easy to work with, because they aren't pillar aligned, but you can kind of see, right? When people talk about academic excellence, you know it's going to be something in teaching and learning. When people talk about staff, you know it's going to go in workforce engagement. You know, I mean, so you kind of get a sense of where it's heading in that respect. But then we ask some questions down the line about, so what are ideas you'd like to, you know, explore, or what are threats? They don't really go in a neat basket, so we'll have to work through that a little bit. So let me explain what we're going to do, but first, let me take a breath. Do all of you understand, and if not, please ask a question now, how the comments are structured in the report that you have? Okay. And find us if you have any questions. Yeah.
Question, Joanne. So you talked about 60 people being part of this.
Yes.
Can we get the breakdown of what that 60 looked like?
I can't.
I know like there was 5 administrators, 4 board members.
I did
and
it,
this-
I'll find it, because it's in the slide deck from last time, so I'll
Okay,
dig it
just
out.
curious about what that was.
All you're looking for is the mix, not
Just
their
the-
comments, okay.
No, not their comments, I just
Thank
was
you.
wondering out of the 60
Yeah.
people, what kind of
Mix there was.
mix was there?
I'll dig it
Just was
out.
curious
As
about
you're-
community parents.
I can even call it up while we're working.
Okay.
Because it's in the slide deck from last time. There were more parents than, that was the largest demographic,
Yep.
parents and
Like almost
citizens.
half.
Yeah, I thought it was about half, but I'll find the
Okay.
exact numbers. So, in preparation for what we're going to do, I want to get us kind of thinking about these strengths. Because A, it's always just good to start with a positive, right? As opposed to, I think the first time, you know, when you get feedback, it's like, let's dig in about what we have to do. Let's go right to those weaknesses. No, let's take a moment and celebrate some things. But also know, I mean, I think there is something that you can grab on from this. If people feel academic excellence is the #1 thing, you don't want to say, nailed, done, not going to be in the plan, right? I mean, that's not what you want to do. If it's important to people, what are we going to do about it, right? What are we going to do to take it to the next level? So, I'm going to put you in some groups, and then maybe 15 minutes. What's a comment theme that's a powerful statement in your opinion? What made you feel good or proud to see listed? Put it on Post-its in your group, it's going to go right here. So what's just a comment that you would say, wow, it was really great to see academic excellence talked about so profoundly. That's all. Or, wow, great to see STEM, or, you know, whatever. I don't want to taint it, but that's it. So that's the first thing that you'll write down on Post-its in your group. The second there, is there a comment or a comment theme you don't understand? And maybe it's a specific comment, call us over. I mean, we were there. I mean, I can give you some context to it. Sometimes I can, sometimes Brian can, sometimes maybe we can't. But is there something that you would say, what? This doesn't make sense to me. The third area is, this one is important. As we look at the list of what's a strength, and I'm going to use academic excellence as an example. The question says, what are some areas that we should not lose sight of as we craft a plan? It's not a weakness, but it's something important to people, and we should most likely consider a continued focus of it in the strategic plan, right? It's something people feel is important. Make sense? And then the last one is the one that I think has some richness for where we're at, and I bet anyone who works in the district, this list will become important. And I call it a parking lot item. It means it may not be something that's going to go in the plan for a couple reasons. One, you don't have the capacity to do it, or B, it's not something that would take 5 years or to be worked on, but man, this is an idea we shouldn't lose sight of because we could click this off and make people happy right now. So it's in one of 2 buckets for this one. It doesn't go in the plan, but it's a parking lot item because maybe we could do something about it sooner rather than later. And that's here, a parking lot. Not for the plan, but we can investigate this. We could do something about this. And maybe there's another piece of it, and I should put it up going, yeah, maybe we can't do anything about some of these things. And that's true. There are sometimes people just set an opinion, right? And it's not anything that's strategic. It's just someone's point. And there's some of those as well. I'll put up another sheet around that just to make sure we capture it as well. So, let me make sure, yes.
So you don't have to look it up, I wrote it down, 15 staff, 36 parents, 5 admin, and 4 board.
Say it again.
15 staff, 36 parents, 5 admin, and 4 board.
Thank you, note taker.
And that's parents and community, correct?
It is
So
parents and
it's
community
parents slash community
combined.
combined.
Because we ran some sessions together and we didn't
Yes,
ask
no.
people to identify
Thank you.
themselves that way.
Stacy, thank you for that.
Can you say that last number again, please? 15, 36, 5.
4 board.
Thank you.
Question?
Well,
Okay. All right, all of you have a playing card. Who has an ace? You guys are together, and you can find a place.
Does
wherever.
anybody need pens or pencils?
I don't know what you're I don't know.
Oh,
Here goes
I
our
got
here's
one.
your card. You want one, or this person isn't here.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll
okay.
read your
Depends on
phone.
what it is.
Who has a king? You guys are together. Find a spot. Who has a queen? You are together.
There's 2 of you?
Who has a jack?
Dynamic duo, we can do it.
And maybe we'll even out, I don't know where we head, but.
Sure.
Take
We'll go back.
Post-its.
We'll go back.
Maybe we can
Is
trade
anybody a
it.
jack over there too?
Any jacks? Oh, you know why I did that?
Well, no, we're both.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
got
yeah.
it.
Yep, and last
We
time I
good?
got it.
P, that how I wrote.
All right, you're writing on Post-its.
I got T.
You're writing ideas per group, right? Not individually, but per group on Post-its. So someone be a writer on
I think we're
Post-its.
just using the marker.
Nope, you're using Post-its, that's for another activity. You're writing on Post-its and they go up
Make
here.
fun of me then, so all of us can write now.
You're right.
But just go one more time, you write down.
You're writing for the group, you're writing for the group on a Post-it. A, question B, question C, and question D. It's hard to see, can you see it? So start with question A. Just, what's something that made you proud? Question A, what's something that made you proud? And we're looking only at the strengths. Just category 1, strengths. Just category 1, strengths.
To answer, you said this is about 15 minutes, and
Yeah.
each question's gonna stay about 3 or 4 minutes?
Yep.
Probably?
Yeah.
Right, category 1. Just category 1. Yep.
Yeah, I was honestly, I mean, it's good to see that. I feel like.
You know, what do we feel good about?
You're just answering, what's a common theme that's a powerful statement, so you're answering. Either one, either one.
Yes, you're,
So I always think this is
it's right here,
comment.
page 1.
Yes.
We're just doing category.
Do not lose sight of, like, dig in.
If this is something
Dig
you
in.
really value.
Especially about what made you proud. Yeah, well, you and everyone else, because they give terrible comments.
And I mean, obviously, that's not that
I want this to be whatever family it is going to be. I feel like there's been things that have happened over the last 2 years that have not.
Thank you for being organized.
Gotta keep it that way.
So I'm glad.
I like that you wrote A on your post-its.
But I don't.
They can have multiple number ones, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, do you think that's a powerful statement, then write it down, we'll capture it?
Oh, sure.
If you want to have another one.
Yes.
You work really hard to try to sort it out.
Which comment? Focus, thank you, yep. Yep, that's what I said. That's why I didn't see
Actually,
it.
the question that was asked was, in this one, what
So you get the idea, what are comments you think?
So I
That's the
would
first
agree
one.
with you that it is quite important that you might want to
Next one is like,
No, we're only looking at only category 1. But I really we're only looking at the strengths.
First and second, because this is like, this is category 1 strength.
Yeah, and there's pizza baked here from somewhere.
Yeah, I know.
Trades that we focus on four-year college focus. I don't know how to share these we can expose kids to all things, but parents don't very like four-year is.
So you have committed teachers on your
Staff.
Oh, you're right.
We're gonna feel free to write, we're just throwing them up there, so feel free to.
you should be writing that you're missing, which is
It's like the job market has shifted that a lot where you do really well in training. And that is
Let me take a pause and make sure that we're all on the same wavelength. I am assuming that all 4 groups are looking at only category 1 strength, and you are writing some Post-its for question A. What's something in the strengths that you thought, wow, this is really affirming and validating, right? That's gonna go here. You might wanna write an A on that Post-it. I learned that good idea from you. Then, in a couple moments, you're gonna go to question B, only looking at the strength. Is there a comment you don't understand that we might need to probe on or talk about a little more? Is there anything that would go here? Then the next one, and so we're just working through. All right, keep going.
We had a
When
great
it says peer focus for students in addition to like, I think they're saying, let's not just focus on let's focus on manufacturing and trades.
I think we're all here.
We have to get them prepared for that, because not everyone's gonna go to four-year college.
Yep.
And that's not where we're meeting.
When I think about an opportunity, not lose sight of. Actually, now we're doing so much STEM education, we help them understand that like, this isn't just to prepare their students to be engineers.
That goes with student
This also to
opportunities.
prepare their
We're talking about before, is that you're about.
And I think that,
Career
that
focus.
was the red, for our families. The comments make it seem like some people are getting the money.
Some days.
Like, they might have, a non-major pathway. And I think we need to build that. Where they really decide what to launch.
Well, there's extracurriculars, arts, drama, music, musical, that one is just needs to be discussed. Productions are.
It does make me wonder about like other.
Another thing I was thinking, I think it makes kind of exciting to see is just the student.
All the positive comments about the staff, we're gonna have to really stay committed, resilient, and working hard to serve their kids.
I really love when we're talking about community staff, equally as dedicated.
Yep.
Joanne?
Yes.
Really only the clarification about a comment we don't understand. Is that for the whole packet or just strengths?
Just strengths, we're
Just strengths.
only in the
Only
strengths.
Okay, just wanted to double
Only
check.
in the strengths.
Okay, gotcha.
Keep an eye on.
That's one thing.
Because I think of all the areas scores and numbers and all this really.
I think
stuff.
it's too much for your education of why people think.
I think it does.
Not necessarily that.
Maybe try to pull some of the other items.
Read to where they're missing out.
The same level, but again, it's more about.
That's what I feel as a parent. When I read the point of it, but then do more Bible.
That's definitely one you're about.
And links that aren't working, and like check your proofs and stuff, check your links before you make it.
It's a good point to make, like, if we say, hey, we're number 6 in the state, like, we're really happy with that, that sounds good. Pause, and we'll do some exciting things.
Yeah.
Other just felt like, right, so like, even if people study, you're going to fall.
But if you don't change the share section to anyone or outside of the school district, that's.
Which age are you? They were switching.
It's like when I said, hey, can you check this? She'll pick on, like, it'll work. Because I already gave her access to it, so it's, but it's just taking the time and really.
It's a whole pepperoni pizza in there.
By the way, that pizza's for anybody, that's from the, if anybody wants a snack for pepperoni pizza, that's from the, cast party today. They had a bunch of extras, so Janice Rodden sent me with a pizza here for anybody who wants a piece.
Steve, can you go ask for a sausage?
Oh, yeah, okay. And no kids have touched that one, it's full and it's not been opened.
It is.
Structure, sound.
It doesn't, yeah, it's just not. I don't know.
Does everyone finish with B?
What does that mean, right?
Goes fast, like.
Right.
I don't want to lose.
Right. And because like transparency and communication is one thing we really try to make sure we emphasize that everybody knows the decision-making process. This is what's happening.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh, now you see, you can't.
You can't wait for them, they could be in the middle of the road.
Oh, you're really moving on a C, you overachievers.
As we're talking, we're just.
You're holding them all in at the same time, it's like,
It's a holistic process.
it is. Talk about. Can you give any insight into what structure, sound, ecosystem? This is our common.
All right, thank you.
But it's on there, so I just want to make sure it's not a new strain.
They were saying that there should be, all the pieces work together well and the school runs well for their child. From a that perspective, from the classroom to the administration to, you know, that the child's day is well orchestrated and that there's, and they use the word ecosystem, but I agree, it's like, what they were kind of saying is that the pieces all work together and their child was having a great experience.
That's what we hear about is,
I like that translation.
you know, consistent communication. We talk about this at every meeting. One of the things I feel like I've heard about this, or for example, we had a situation, we had a student was the same communication for the same opportunity. Don't car, whatever. How do we streamline communication? What are our expectations? And what's the frequency? So for instance, first,
Like, if they value for having an opportunity to go to different communication,
pretty
if
sure
they
that
interact
also
with
the
other people
communicate
in different
frequency
ways,
is
if they
different.
value like
Which is,
a strong.
modality, I'm not really worried about, is that one say, you can't use, you have to use Skyward, you have to use Wayne. But one teacher will communicate weekly, one communicates every other week.
This may go a little, yeah, a little too wide, I suspect.
One of them asked me, why do you only do it monthly? Well, they know how to get it. Because I only want to wait until I have one. And another person said, because my parents said they don't want to go to Wednesday. Another parent said, for another person, my parents don't want it. How many parents? I have one or two.
Correlated.
Did the one person say, oh, yeah.
Any big comments?
I didn't know you moved it. Oh,
Move on. You're on B, you're going on to B, which is anything that you don't understand that you would say, I don't understand.
After you're done with her, come on over.
If you're not in B or C, that's a good place to be right now.
What's that?
And C is the thing that you asked.
We need more transparency.
What are things
They're pretty easy to take off, we have to do it up like that.
I guess I might be close to center, right side.
Like the parking lot.
All right, B is what you don't understand, we can come and talk. C is, what are those big topics that should be in the plan?
We'll give some more.
That shouldn't take too long.
So I would say,
Yeah.
yes, because it should be easy and straightforward. It seems like anything that involves us doing your curriculum has so many more layers.
Then we won't have, it looks like we have students. So we'll ask that since I'm not.
That would be helpful, sharpen it on so many things.
So many years behind, whatever. Current.
Yes.
These functions that we are as boards.
You know, we just make sure we.
Then you guys gotta incorporate
Because we're on. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. It's a, eventually you talk, which part of the, yeah.
We don't touch our page.
But the question is like, are there, what we heard right here, do you want to talk to our legislators about social media? Like, we're about how to use email.
What happens in our community.
You're already.
But I almost feel like
Because DR, you know,
I mean, if you're huge believer in like curiosity, people focus on it. We focus on those other things help us with, our STEM helps us with math.
Yeah, that
Our kidney games and social studies help us with math.
I
You
like
know,
to put it like.
so I, do you know what I'm saying?
I sure do, and I have to tell you something. I actually went back midstream, you know, when I was looking this over prior to sending it out. And the first thing I had here was from a comment that was like, the basics are good, which is reading, writing. And then I was like, no, that's really not good. And then I moved STEM into it, and then I moved, I mean, it was kind of like, but you're right, I mean, it was back and forth, because you're right, it's hard, I mean, you could have one big comments about everything. So it's like, what's important? The next question C is what's important to get at. So focus on the academic preparation, and we need to focus on what is that curiosity piece and what that piece looks like. And it's not necessarily two separate things, but we have to do both.
Right.
It's junior high, high school.
So if we don't, when the kids don't go, that's when we have to have social media, like.
right, yeah, how big is too big? It's kind of like that business model, how big is too big until you outgrow, and then all of a sudden you can't service the people you want.
That's really just that we were playing Fortnite against each other, and they thought it was supposed to be.
This comment had to do with
Another flag.
our size in relation to the other regions.
Got it.
In the area, that we really have an opportunity to be a big brother. What's kind of
No,
There was 3 comments.
it's nice.
But there were also comments around what size, around community feel that I get to know my child's teacher, that, you know, there were those sides.
Maybe this is a C.
And
But this one in particular,
little kids
that
that
one
want to be
had to
playing,
do with
some of them might be playing some of
the
the
other
games,
piece.
because they're watching brothers and sisters.
Everybody gave the 47 killers. It's just like, before, they don't get it. It's just like, but, whoa, you can't do that, you know? You can't say those things. Or they are watching Minecraft or whatever, and they're starting to use that terminology, so it's teaching them at points. You can't talk like that.
Don't lose sight of
I
it.
understand, it's on a game.
C
but
is,
we don't talk like that.
this could be an arm in the plan under teaching and learning. It's really, I mean, this could be an arm in the plan that we need to be thinking about. Not just teaching and learning either.
Recommended videos, so it was like, you saw what? Yeah, and I was like, clearly somebody else is using that bicycle, because they should not be recommending this to a second grade child, like, this isn't appropriate.
And we did that already. I think we already did that. Look, last time we took a look at the student data relative to the big pillars of learning. That's why they split stuff into student GPA. You had staff survey, and then you also had students, parent survey, which then workforce engagement, academic excellence. We had community, and then fiscal and facilities are very well run. So,
I like that approach. Then you can't say it's
you know, it's
weird.
when, where, and how. I think we have looked at it. Through all of that. Right.
Get off that A! Get off that A!
We're still feeling good, Joanne.
Yeah, don't make me go to the opportunity.
Part is, and obviously, you know, there's a lot of components in there that we're forcing into something.
That falls off in the
We
animation.
need to make sure that we have a pillar
And
for
you see a friend, you're walking something, holding a head, and I heard all this, and I was like, oh shit, I'm holding the head. And I was like, you can't see that. She goes, did I use it wrong? And I was like, no, you used it correctly. You can't use that in your video. You used it in perfect context. If you just found somebody's head rolling around, like, that is probably what you would say. But you can't, your video for school can't say that. Like, that's what it is.
We're going to finish this activity in 3 minutes.
Okay. So we're not to the side of, I think we don't go to the side of family engagement, continuing to make sure families are engaged, that they have what they need. Offer to our schools and part of it.
Even in my industry, with the heating, cooling, automation, stuff's changing every day. On how boilers are
I
programmed.
think that, there's a fine line, as we've talked about curriculum and stuff, and how far parents get involved, but then, they're working so
to get to
make
that
sure
part
that we
is,
make
you know,
very
tomorrow, Dave and I and Steve are having a meeting about robotics. right? And about that, because that's a area where we don't have a lot of, but that's a strong student interest. Jordan, we don't have a wood shop, or a woods club.
Not in the plant, not in the parking lot?
You know, so you start talking about some pipeline stuff and opportunities.
That's something
This
that we
is-
can do.
We could have, easily have a foods club. We could easily have
Something
a
like-
woods club, or materials, I mean, you know what I kind of, building trades, for instance, where kids can take their learning from what they do in Dave, or wherever they are, they don't even need to be there. Say, hey, I really enjoy doing that. How do you utilize your facilities to leverage student opportunities in the co-curricular area?
Yeah.
We got a gym, so you have a basketball team. No, this would be something that you would, remember, extracurricular and co-curriculars are after the school day.
Yeah, so then you're looking at employees.
Correct, people, you need people, correct.
This is the northern.
Yep. But we offer a basketball team, and we pay a basketball coach. Why can't we pay a woods teacher? Dave runs a robotics coach, they're gonna be getting paid National Honor Society Student Senate. So we have all of those things, and believe me, if somebody came forward and, Mr. Wagner over here is considering doing something that works with him and seeing what we can put out. But, yeah, if extracurriculars are,
Because I think we gotta do that, I would.
well, people pay $65 to play basketball, or $75. They pay $75 to play basketball and volleyball. Absolutely.
I mean, the kids are in swim lessons, and
Yeah.
you name it, there's all sorts of stuff.
But that's all athletic, or the student, other student stuff that we can do that.
I mean, even in my situation with our kids, I would be willing to pay quite a bit to keep my kid interested in what he's working on.
But in that-
As a progressive and doing what he likes to do.
The hard part is what you talked about, is just finding that individual.
Yeah.
Who would like to take that and invest in it. You know, a lot of things are- You're gonna be retired in 6 years.
I was gonna say,
Maybe I'll
so
give
you
you
think
some
that was
time.
about
Kids.
6 months
Yeah, there we go. So workforce engagement, some things we don't want to lose sight of, co-curriculars, and I truly think that co-curricular stuff is something that we can do relatively quick if we feel it's important, without a 5-year program. And I think it's the community engagement.
Oh, you did?
Interesting. Jordan, I think you were sitting at one of our groups. It was, two groups looked at it.
Not a kid family.
Hey, look at this, you know, 2/3 of our kids consistently are performing this way. Then somebody came over and said, yeah, what about these 1/3? What does that 1/3 look like? And if we can, it's just easily identified, like, who are they? What are the common themes that those students do? And how do you attack that subgroup? Right, and it's difficult because we're a small community, for instance, I'm just gonna say, let's just use special education for instance.
It's great. Here we have it.
It's hard to, you don't want to target the small populations, right?
No one wants to.
But how do you capture the general population?
Listen up. We're gonna call this part done. Bring your comments and any Post-its that need to be posted, and meet me up here. Meet us up here.
I'm sorry, Joanne, Melissa was
Bring your
talking.
comments
What do I
and any Post-its that need to be posted, and bring them up here.
But Stacy, you don't follow directions very well.
We just get in there throwing people under the bus too.
All right.
We're walking here, we're walking.
And we're walking, All right.
We're coming up here, yes?
You're coming up here.
Come on, not to see you, come on.
Everyone's coming up here. Take a quick look together. So, I'll start, and I know that'll get people coming. I mean, in terms of things, comments that just felt good, right? Comments that made you feel proud. Lots about academics and student opportunities, focus on serving students, lots on staff, and then, you know, sole comments about tech and facilities. And this isn't one where they're ranked at all, right? These are just comments that individually we thought, wow, those are good things to see, right? Or here, family engagement, small community feel, fiscally sound, budgetary processes, STEM focus, space for, also I'll type these out. But the reason why I did this is when you start to see groups, that's when you start to go, maybe that's a plan idea. Then there were a couple that people, I don't know what COVID-99 is, but it's like the next generation. I mean, it's what they said. But that's what they were saying. What could, I mean, that was, you know, we don't want that to happen.
I thought it was number 9.
I thought it was
And it
number
might
99
have
too.
been, it might have been comment 99, I don't know. But right size or campus setting, that particular comment, I remember it, was about, you know, that we have a unique position in the area, in that we're one of the larger feeders. And that is a great place to be in terms of having more options. But there were also a lot of comments about just liking, we're a single campus, you know, we have a great size in terms of family engagement. And the sound ecosystem, that was a person that talked a little esoterically, but what they liked and what was a strength was that they kind of made it seem like all the parts work together and my child's having a great experience. From teachers to staff to, you know, to every, you know, recess, they kind of just spoke about, wow, the whole thing just fits together, my child, the whole experience is good. And they used the word ecosystem, which is kind of an odd thing to use, but a really nice term because it really was a strength in their eyes. Yep. I wanted to show you this because we're going to talk about this in a few minutes. So it's pretty clear already that we know we are going to be having a pillar, I don't know what we're going to call it, in teaching and learning. We'll have a pillar with something with workforce engagement. And we'll have a pillar in community engagement. I don't know about what the fourth pillar may be yet. We're kind of feeling that out and, you know, about that. But the one that's in there is finance and facilities. Maybe it's operations, or maybe I just even use the word other. I don't know what that's going to be like, but I can tell you right now, based on what we see, we'll have 3 pillars at least. Those 3 are generating. And then what you start to do is, yeah, academic preparation may be something that might be what we'd call a strategic objective. But what you might work on for time is career pathways, or multiple career pathways or opportunities. And so it almost filters down into getting those ideas, and that's where we're going to be heading in the next couple days, in the next couple weeks. But these are starting, and the nice thing is that's starting to do that, because here what you go is academic achievement, not just in the core areas, preparation for educational pathways, continue to support academic growth, student opportunities, career connection. So it's, you know, you start to see things percolate in terms of how you're hearing it over and over again. So maybe that becomes something that we latch on to, right? And it's kind of where we're at. And then here, you know, there are things that maybe aren't going to get worked on. And I'll keep this up, you know, that aren't going to go in the plan. But, you know, people love the parade. Could we do it again next year? It's a great example.
Stop by for a ride.
You know, 4K wraparound care, if there's a, you know, that's something someone liked, is, you know, anything there. Digital literacy, students with specific needs, ensuring they continue to be served. Maybe it's not a new idea, you know, but anyway. So those are all things that, and I like that idea of having a place where we can say, you know what, this may not go in the plan, but man, there's something we can do there. Okay? Now, take your card, your playing card, and go back to your seat. Yes. Oh, good.
Still pizza here.
You like that table, Steve, huh?
Pushing pizza.
It's your constant reminder to take them off.
The pizza aren't out there anymore. I have not yet taken it tonight, but I'm just waiting a couple times.
So now we're going to go into an area that is, I mean, when you ask the open-ended question, you know, in a SWOT analysis, its weaknesses, we tend to use the term opportunities for improvement. This one's all over the map. This isn't as bucketable, I like to use that term. This one didn't bucket in the same way. There's, you know, there's a lot of random ideas. There are some that are bucketed as you look at it. But over here, you'll see 4 big areas. And I'm gonna put you in a different group. And it's in these ideas, and we talked about these. This is a possible idea for the strategic plan out of the weaknesses, right, out of the opportunities. This could be addressed in the plan, and your feeling as a group is, yeah, we should put something in the plan on staff retention, or whatever. This one is, it's not for the strategic plan, but maybe we can investigate or address this, right? That's over there. You've done this a little bit. The next one is, this one's not going in the plan. This one can't be, this isn't something that you feel as a group is a priority for the plan, or is it something that necessarily could be addressed? And if I could just be so bold, don't spend a ton of time on this, because it's more important that these 2 are the ones that you really focus on. And the last one is, again, I don't understand the comment, or I just need some context around that. So, we're gonna do the same activity with weaknesses now, with the category 2 and category 2 only. And then it's in these 4 big bucket areas, and the same thing with Post-it notes are going to go on that over there. It matches this, okay? Who has a card with a club on it? Oh my gosh. Sorry. Club, spades. Okay, clubs.
What the club was.
Here we go.
I was like, I have a spade.
I'm sure that you did this. I don't know, we might have to
I was looking at the
regroup.
number on the
Clubs
back.
over
I don't know
here,
what I was thinking.
clubs over here, spades over here,
They're sending me back to the same table.
spades over there, hearts
Colleagues struggle.
over there, diamonds over there. And if we have to regroup, I prefer there's no group with 4. We'll see if we have to regroup that. Club, spades, hearts, diamonds. And we're looking at only category, we're only looking at category
I'm by myself
2.
over here.
Spades over here.
Club, spades.
Hearts over here.
Okay, wait a minute. Someone moved to hearts.
Yeah,
I'll go to Hearts.
Oh.
Mary.
Or you can combine hearts and.
Yeah, then we're good.
Okay.
That would be fine too. We're good.
Do you want me to come over there?
Come on over, you got 4.
You're supposed to randomize, it's supposed to be balanced.
Well, I really don't know why.
You can go over there.
Okay.
That's what Jordan just said. Plus he texted me. So I don't know. You haven't texted me.
That's all right.
Maybe not.
If your heat doesn't work tomorrow, I don't know why.
Okay.
I know, I was like, how come you're just like,
That's
I
what-
went on, you're Martin, was it?
Yeah, I was yeah, and I was like, no.
Oh, Roger. Okay.
Yeah.
Retention, culture, workforce.
Those are those, yep, those are those, exactly, you can start to build.
I mean, I have more of a facility.
I could read it.
Bias, I guess, but that key bias is facility strong and sound. Good budgeting.
You know, it's interesting that, as far as you know, academic.
And there's a lot of good stuff. So why does this understand what category 2 is?
Oh,
Inclusive, like, I know, some without
Okay. Also, they think this is. So even like. Well, that was one person, but that, you know, there's some rocket scientists that look at going to the actually help the kids learn about robots. Stuff like that.
You know, but it could be when I resources.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always good.
That was before they explained it, and I get they're tied to a specific person. But I was like, I want to know for GT, like, what was that? Let's see if it's a, like, we can address it now, or should we?
Right, what I think, and I think that's a question, maybe, or no, don't understand the comment, don't understand that's where that should go, because, I mean, are they just thinking that if they have resources, things are just going to occur? Doesn't say anything about development of staff, it just says resources to staff, we need more people, we need more people, and we need more resources. We would shift that, say, we're gonna continue to develop you as a teacher.
I'm on.
Family, community engagement, yeah, family communities. So I don't know how.
I mean, it's just kind of things I'm going through that.
Pieces of that communication go and be, right, like, for strategic plan.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's pieces of it that like,
I think it was a physical piece of paper that was in the mail. But so maybe, I don't know.
bring back,
But there was a whole
bring back district. We've been having this not take.
And that's, you know, a beautiful example of things that aren't really strategic, but.
We can say communication is better, but there are other pieces of it. District Sure, where's that from? All over it.
That would be neat, that would be neat, if you think something that can be addressed sooner, because that can't, because you can't put through a strategic plan in social, which seems to be, but it's also a lot, according to the team work through it.
If the best person in our family that has the best
So I think
friendship
that's
is
when we
my
start to
daughter.
get into, we're gonna talk about.
She writes her name in cursive, and
Just some of these,
my wife taught her how to do
It's
it.
all fresh in her brain.
Oh, yeah, so, and you better get past it, so I basically have the best penmanship, but I don't really.
Yeah, I was gonna say, some drawings or plans I've looked at it also, they're consistent, but.
Because before that.
Yeah.
Whatever control.
Joanne, her communications.
Whatever.
It was a bias.
It is, I know it.
I mean, whatever control, when you say.
And you can do A, B, and C.
Control the narrative of the school. Very close proximity.
Yeah, so
We
we,
come do our,
so we just did it
outright
now.
do it, like, well, that was a great one done, but is it really?
I would say, for
Correct, it's not, like, we haven't shifted the narrative of our staff.
Over time it does so.
But that's right, it's a B, right? It's an A, like B is what we do right now.
Yes, right,
Where A
yes.
is like we need 5 years to continue building that momentum.
there's a lot of things that can fall. That's why, I mean, I feel like the film should be.
Right. Order of life.
Too many acronyms for me to play that outside world.
Student development, yeah, well, that's what you just said.
You know, it's interesting.
I was thinking of the word, what it was the same thing you just said, was the student development, it was try to.
Again, I think that could be something that,
Could involve.
because you can't build a strategic plan. We have a 10-year facility,
I think what you're right now is student.
but that changes based on the needs of the enrollment. and
Not
that's-
a plan, but something that should be predictable.
Because I thought we had a lot. We have a system. Fewer kids, less disease. Correct.
So I wonder, like, on the last week, facilities are also bumped. But now I'm wondering, does facilities actually just fall under the goals of those elements? Like, when we're talking about community engagement, are there facility goals around facilities plans that would allow more outside organizations to
Especially post-COVID, you start to
someone
see
not
something.
No, your cooking club, you know, it's
Right,
called.
obviously, the cooking room, okay, Girl Scouts, check out the cooking room.
Better growing
Girl
themselves
Scout
and bettering
magic cooking,
themselves
like,
to be better with it.
great.
I think that's exactly what.
Correct, yeah, they absolutely can, I think, but, we were
Our
talking
community
about
doesn't have to.
board and brush. You can easily run a board and brush out of our school.
I do wonder if I'm doing this to people who aren't the kids, like, so much right, so where do we find the moms?
We got about 10 more minutes.
Club.
No,
My
no,
opinion.
no,
People
no.
who want to have space to come do, so this is cookie decorating. Coming on Saturday, you're together, multiple ovens, you can use at the same time. Do
Six.
people know, right, do people know that they can use that space? But isn't that important, is that a facet?
Again, there's things you can get around with that. It gets a little bit messy, but just.
Yeah, no, that is.
What's that?
I said, when I asked that question, I was like, whatever it is, it's gonna be messy, whatever, you're like, just because it's Harvard, doesn't mean we don't do it.
Yes, okay. Remember when Andrew told me that,
I mean,
that was great, it sticks with me all the time, it was great.
No, I agree.
But I think that's an opportunity we have, because what we were talking about before was, as a parking lot thing was, is co-curricular was so strong. How do we start to engage our co-curriculars in the areas that, of the cool things we just made? We don't have a cooking club or a food club, we don't have a building trades club. We're hoping to start a pretty soon. How do you utilize those spaces that we just, we don't have a ceramics club? That's what we do.
if we trace back, started thinking about social rate. Taking classes with a teacher who was like, we should have cooking club, and she used to run it before school. And then we had enough resources that it became an elective class, and now it's part of our curriculum. It started as a club, and built to part of our curriculum, now how do we go back and also offer club, right? Like we need to go, don't get rid of this piece, but how do we get back to?
And how do you, and that's, to me, doesn't belong to the strategic plan. Because that's something that you can really start to investigate and try to control, because ultimately that's control based on we can't control, which is finding a person.
Oh, almost. There was another. Yeah.
Something I can't guarantee.
Yeah, it's another door now. We have three.
Correct. He really wants to, if it were up to me, I'd say, go one feedback.
Oh, that's terrible, but yeah, it's realistic. I guess that's.
We're gonna talk big picture, but I think if we continue to talk some big picture and spend a little bit of time each one looking at what they're telling us, what are some quick fixes, and maybe a mentor.
Something else that's tackle the parking lot thing, do we have the right resources? Pastor Mary Jane.
The one that doesn't live in.
When we talk about extracurricular opportunities, she could weigh in on what might be a blessing for kids, but usually she's not the one. Like, this seems like a great thing for Steve doing this, that a building staff meeting, say, hey, we should, like, let's brainstorm. Throw, not saying to run any of them, write about post-its, let's put them on a wall. What would be a fun opportunity for kids? Oh, I've seen lots of people from cooking class, like, does anybody have interest in that? Here's what the stipend would be. Does everyone want to know what the money is and whatever, right? Like, that's the question. I don't know that this in the room is the right one to tackle some of these pieces.
I'm talking about the big ideas.
Sure.
Like, how do you expand the co-curriculum? Yeah, that's something that people value, yet I would, if it's so important, then let's try to expand it, because I would say we're very narrow co-curricular opportunity. Very traditional, very easy, basketball, volleyball, student senate, things that happen more inside the day, then, you know, because we don't have a club surrounding any of our opportunities. Hopefully we're starting pretty soon. Again, that's for us. Like that parking lot is to say, what can we possibly start to make it look that way? Belong.
I think that's kids do word groups, but not very, like it wasn't well.
So we talked a lot about the.
I got workforce. Momentum for
I brought down, family and community.
5 more minutes.
Because it's not the right priority now. She says fine.
A and Z are the
Yeah. Let's talk about what we're doing.
Alright, I put that one.
IT sec.
No sugar.
Okay.
I don't wanna, like, start my job to talk about people, but it was, what came up in like, it was like, yep, there was one person to find out if it wasn't.
Are they concerned that the school is wrong?
They're just concerned about it in general.
Not about the digital literacy.
No, no, this was about safety. This was about safety.
Like online safety or like?
Online safety. Online. Changing passwords more frequently, having diet and I mean, it was.
I don't feel that.
And someone told me the other day that PETA's come out with a list as opposed to saying don't feed a dead horse, it's don't feed a fed horse. And I was thinking, yeah, they have a whole list of them now. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. It was kind of like, I knew it was going to be about cybersecurity.
That's interesting.
PETA's come out with a list and phrases like it's supposed to be a dead horse, it's don't feed a fed horse. And then there was about killing 2 birds with 1 stone. They came up with a different one that way too. I'm not espousing these, I'm just saying I thought they were funny.
Yeah, it's a way of yeah.
Poetry was. But no.
What I get takes up, except for so many different teachers, right, whatever. Kindergarten, second grader, 4th grader, all the primary school. What they get from the teachers is going to be significant. Or come through different channels, especially when I have older kids. How do I keep track of this app for this one and this email for this one?
But I will tell you, I was living through I tell you, there's no way over it.
Again, I understand the importance of it.
Teacher basically still the same meeting. Yes, it was one spot.
And that really, it could be
But
considered.
imagine the Facebook feed.
Yeah, because I was coming around as well.
It's the same one. I'm still, you know, it's still good now. Like we thought that was gonna solve it because everybody.
We will post any Post-its you have in 4 minutes.
One email, superintendent has a spot, North has a spot, South has a spot, North Shore, it all comes to the same email. And there's a Google folder, and the flyers of basketball, baseball, whatever, it's all in a Google folder. It's not laid out as a notification, it's just like, put a copy once a week, and if I get each building, then I would just read each section. As teacher said, we're all reading to this, 4 pages. Work from law on Tuesday, backwards up there, but like, so it's a teacher communication piece from the district side. I know the top part's gonna be, is like school board meeting coming up, this, next part's gonna be the principals, some things that happen in the building, and then I just skip the rest of it, because I'm like, I don't care what's going on in Merton South, I don't care what's going on in North Shore, like, but I get the email, and that's all I know I need to read, right, like, it comes in, I take the time to read it, and I know.
One big one. There shouldn't be.
What? Yeah, this is Monday morning, I take the time to read it because I know she did say that she was just trying to.
When do you get it? Monday? Monday morning. I'm just curious because
There's so much.
the research behind it, when you should communicate to people, because I just had that conversation with a parent. Well, according to research, it would be Sunday evening. That's why 60 minutes is so much. That's why this Sunday night television is one of the hot spots for all week of the next week. Right.
In my brain, it's like 10
However, I mentioned this to 3 families yesterday. We were having this conversation at a 5K fair night. And I told them, hey, because Ron, we just get started so much, and we're working on it. And I said, well, it's interesting, when do you want the information? All of them said, no, we'd love when we get it. Fridays are great. I have Saturday, Sunday, because I figure nothing is gonna happen. Because nothing happens on Saturday or Sunday that they would have told me by now, which means I've got some time, I can do it on my own time. I said, that's interesting, because we were told research was steady, and I guess some class. Because like LinkedIn, they must know when to just email 10 times a day or whatever it is, but, those people are too into what it would be. I get a lot of communications. Are you correct?
Oh, yeah.
Friday, and I was just, I should look at it at some point this weekend.
Consistent, it's pretty important.
Land on Friday, so many other things are coming over the weekend, because they get pushed down too far, and land that's 5 a.m. on Monday.
They're going over here.
They're going over here. All right, let's post.
Emails, things just pile up during the weekend.
Let's everyone come over here and post and talk. What are we seeing?
You want to stay on another engagement or something? I can tell you.
We did it without you, Mary.
We needed Mary on our team. We needed Mary on our team.
I feel so valued by everyone this.
Actually, so it's the last week.
Let's start ripping them up there.
I love all the traffic. Like, oh, these buckets, I'm like, I found buckets at the dollar store. Nothing gets me feeling better. All right, I'm going to read these, and I want you to listen for themes. These are things that we shouldn't lose sight of in the plan, right? I'm just going to read, they're not in any organization. Community engagement, staff retention, address it with both pay and loyalty. Student behavior, SEL growth. Keep finances and facilities strong. Improved mental health and behavioral health of students. Staff retention, clear compensation and growth for years of service. Momentum for controlling narrative of our schools. Develop communication approach for consistency and common platform to streamline communication and information. Fostering an environment of trust and engagement. Workforce engagement, family and community. We value small field, how to structure academics and facilities to retain that. Staff retention and recruitment. Culture, build a culture that attracts staff to be invested. So, I mean, this is why I said before, is there going to be something, I don't know what it'll be called, but is there something around students? And I don't know if it's just teaching and learning yet. I mean, I think we have to vet that through. Secondly, is there going to be something on workforce? Without a doubt. Is there something on family engagement, community engagement? Without a doubt. And that fourth pillar, if there is, I don't know what that looks like yet. We're still in that process. But those things are starting to become very clear. Parking lot ideas. Preparation beyond Arrowhead. What does that look like? Connections with Village of Merton. Yeah, can we work on that now? Could that district newsletter, SEL, remove optional part, bring back community newsletter. SEL, need to understand what it is, not make optional, student extracurricular opportunities. And then over here, not actionable, communication, and I think what, maybe whoever wrote it, I mean, it's not that it might not be in a plan, but what do we do about it, right? What do we do about it? And I have to tell you, and I sound like I'm old, and I am, communication is often a part in a plan, and it never is something that gets right. And I don't mean that it's always something that you work on. It's always something that you're working on. It never goes away, in a good way. Board member pipeline, yeah, I don't know what that was getting at. Need substitutes and a better plan to handle staff absences. Playtime and 4K. Keep doing better, embracing change, but don't flip-flop on curricular changes. Yeah, and I don't understand it. There are some of those, that's all they said, so it's hard to understand the why of it. Make sense? All right, so themes are starting to emerge. So now, have a seat. And I just want to show you what we're going to do next time so that you can come prepared. Because we're not going to be giving you anything new. This will be the crux of next time. The next activity that we're going to do next week is starting to look at our pillars and what is going to populate those pillars. And I'm going to pontificate on this for a moment. So taking stock of where we are now, you've looked at a lot of data, right? You have looked at a lot of data. You've looked at the current strategic plan, key student achievement growth data from the dashboard, perception data from staff, perception data from parents, information about future job trends. You've looked at themes from the listening sessions. So you've looked at a lot of data. We've not looked at yet the strategic plan survey, because that's going to be going out in the next couple days. We're going to talk about that tonight. But we are ready to start writing down some initial thoughts. We know some already are starting to percolate. You know that from what we've looked at already. It's starting to become clear. So what I want to just talk about is going back to this document. You've now seen it at every meeting. And we are going to word the pillars later, right? We're not going to word the pillars now. We know we've got one about students. You know, I don't know what it's going to be worded yet. Not me to know. We'll come to that. You know, we know we've got a bucket around students and their learning and growth. We know, as an example, we know we've got a pillar related to workforce. We know we've got a pillar related to community and parents. We know that. We don't know what it's called yet, but we know we've got a pillar. We're also going to word the goal later. And the goal is that aspirational piece. So like in this one, it says, all students are safe, known, and valued. I don't like to start with that because sometimes the themes of what you're going to work on, it percolates up versus down. And so we'll get to that. But this is where we're at right now. So in this particular plan, they have a pillar on students, and it's not students' academics. In this plan, they had one on academics and they had one on students. And their strategic objectives, this is where we're going to go next time we're together. What are those big bucket areas? So in the area of students, they have 4 big buckets. That work's going to last for 5 years. On student safety and security, student social emotional well-being, student attendance, student voice and value, performance indicators and targets. This was their plan. My point to you is, I think we can start percolating around what are the big hitting items under students right now. We can start getting there, and then the survey will help us validate, were we right? Were we right? We can do the same with workforce. So we're going to live in this world of yellow. Then some things are also starting to become clear. Let me give you an idea. As we start to think about this, the main idea, I like this because I was an English teacher, I'm unabashedly going to tell you this. The main idea is that strategic objective area. Then some things underneath are called the supporting details. So we're going to start thinking about the strategic objectives, those topics. In the pillar area, the topics are like the tabletop. What is the tabletop? And then what do we do underneath it? I like to call them big buckets. And then underneath, the legs are, what are those supporting works? So I'll give you an example, and not surprisingly, it's the one I love best. So, if the big bucket in community engagement is we're going to develop a comprehensive communications plan, then we might say we're going to enhance consistency and mode and frequency of teacher-generated, or we're going to do this. You know, those are the things that are the supporting legs. Does that make sense? Those are good ideas, and we might be able to tackle that in a year or two of the plan. But that's what we're going to live in this world right here next time we're together, right? what is, if we're gonna focus on only 4 things for students, what are the 4? I mean, that's where we're gonna live. So, I want to challenge you as we think about this. Next week, next time we're together, I believe it's February 6th, you're gonna be in a group and you're gonna be in that same group all night. And we're just gonna rotate from station to station to station, and you're gonna do buckets. So what are the big bucket ideas that are starting to emerge in teaching and learning? What are the big bucket ideas that are starting to emerge in workforce engagement? What are the big bucket ideas that are starting to emerge under community engagement that includes families? And then I just put and I spelled it wrong, operations, finance, facilities, and other. What's that other category and what's emerging as possible things to work on there? And we're looking, I'm going back, we're looking for the tabletops, right? We're not looking for, we need to fix this or we need to do this. We're looking for the big hitting items that would populate underneath that. So the pillars are starting to become clear, even though we'll word that in the goal. But what we're looking for is what's starting to emerge. And so some of tonight, when I type it up, we'll start to give you some sense of that, but you'll still come to the meeting with that as well. Does that make sense? So where tonight you felt kind of rushed, next time you're going to be spending a good amount of time in each of those 4 areas, really thinking about those big bucket things.
When do you anticipate the survey results to be?
Ryan's going to talk about that in just a moment. Not by the 6th, but it'll be about in the next one. So that's where we're going to be working the next time we're together, right in this strategic objective area. Okay, so right now we're not going to do this. We're going to talk about the strategic plan survey. You're on.
Oh, jump right past that, okay. I think I have a slide, don't I?
Yep.
There we go. All right, so I handed out the survey. I'm sure everybody first noticed it's a little long. Frankly, there was other questions we wanted to ask, but we said we really don't have time. But it is the nature of strategic planning to have long surveys like this, because you're really trying to get at a lot of areas. We start with 4 areas, right? You got strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and stuff like that. So the major process here was to take some of the themes, the major themes we pulled out of it, and ask to verify that, make sure that other people feel the same way. So the first question typically is alignment with the themes we have already. Well, we had a bunch of secondary ones as well, so that was the second question in them. In these cases, I have always added the opportunity to say, does not, whatever. It's not a priority, is not, none of the above, stuff like that. You always have to let it out. And when you let it out, you can always force people, or you can not allow people to skip. So we'll get an answer, because no answer doesn't help. If they say none of the above, at least that's an answer. And then people like to be heard. And not everybody wants to take the time to type in there, but there's some people that like to get very verbose about stuff. So the last part of the 3-part question is open-ended. Things that, what else do you want to say to us? Now, the communication area had something all over the map. We couldn't tease out anything in particular out of that. So let's get some information that we can actually act upon. So there's a branching in there, and you can't really show that when you print it out like that, but if you're dealing with, as a parent, you jump over to these questions and say, what do you want to hear from your teacher, what do you want to hear from your principal? If your staff, the same thing, what do you want to hear from your principal, and different questions. And then, if you don't have kids, then you got the community questions, what do you want to hear about the district? So that kind of breaks it up. I should point out demographics is the first part of this. That's the part where I don't randomize the order. It's usually just in a hierarchical order. So we can get an idea of the demographics of those people that are taking the time to do that. And this product survey monkey will also record the people that bail out before they finish it. So we'll get some of that. And frankly, it will take 20 minutes to actually do this right, which is long for a survey, but it really can't be helped in this sort of thing. So that communication area, we're going to get a lot of good information out of that to guide anything we might want to do either within the plan or put it in the parking structure. But it's going to help because we did hear all kinds of comments about it. Love that love that I'm getting so much information. Damn, I'm getting so much information. So the same person said both. That kind Then, at the end, we kind of wanted to have the open-ended questions where they have the opportunity to type in what other ideas they might have. Because it's important, you know, we had 60 people, but somebody might come up with something that really is gonna work great. So that's kind of a question that might get skipped. And then at the end, of course, thank them for their time and the participation, and is there anything else, kind of a catch-all that they want to tell us about? Now, sometimes you get to that section and people vent and have absolutely no connection to any strategic plan or anything, you know, like, I don't like their parking lot or something weird, you know, they'll just have something they wanna randomly complain about, so, but then again, they get the feel for it, so, yeah.
When the survey goes out, is there information at the top that lets people know the approximate time needed to complete it? Because I feel like a lot of people bail when they start it and really don't have the time that it needs, so saying that clearly
That's
can
a
be
great
really
input.
helpful.
And asking them to make, we're asking you to make the time to do this.
Yeah.
But exactly, if you started thinking it's gonna be 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Other than planning for, I
Right.
know this is gonna take 20, so I'm not gonna start this right now because I don't get through it. And then,
And I'm assuming you can stop it and come back to it.
You can't, no.
Yeah.
We'll let people know that as well.
Yeah.
Yep,
Right.
once you start, please finish.
I did have some questions around some of the survey questions. I read through it. And now I like seeing it in print, I was like, are we sending this to something? I'm sorry, I wasn't here last time, so I was sick, but particularly around the comms, we start with what are the types of communications you'd like to receive? And then we ask them frequency and method. By doing it that way, I'm curious if people are going to respond to the frequency and method based on the types of communications they'd like to receive. And that might skew the results of it. So if I'm like, I want updates on, you know, like if my kid's struggling or whatever, and I want those every day. Well, if you're pulling the results, it may be like, this person wants daily communication, but really because of how the survey was structured, it's like relevancy theory almost. I just told you what I want, and now I'm gonna tell you how often I want that thing communicated to me. And I don't know if that's as simple as restructuring the order of it. I found a couple areas in that where I was like, I don't know if this is gonna, and I also have done survey creation in a past life, so I'm very sensitive to these types of things.
Good point, we'll take this under.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're gonna go with that, but it's very good. Because there's order bias in how you put the options on there, but there's a little question bias.
Yeah, depending on how you're framing that question, people may respond based on kind of what they did. And also there's one like, what are some impediments to executing a strategic plan? Well, without knowing what the strategic plan is, people are likely going to go to a point of reference based on where they work, issues they've had before. So they may say finances, because whenever the last time they did a strategic plan, either in their employment or whatever, finances were an issue. Where without actually knowing the strategic plan, and I found that to be an interesting question.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to tease or separate that from their experience.
Yeah, like, I don't know if is it even worth, like,
feedback?
yeah,
Like
like,
say,
what are we
'cause
gonna do with that?
I wouldn't ask it.
I wouldn't ask it, yeah, I can reduce the number of questions, unless there was something we
So-
were getting at.
So which one was this?
It was under obstacles.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can take that out.
Yeah. That might hinder or prevent the goals and strategic plan.
Yeah, without knowing what the strategic plan is, how do you answer that question? Or you're guessing or basing it on like some blanketed strategic plan vision.
If you're comfortable with what we have from the listening sessions on that, I would feel okay taking it out.
In question 18, I felt was also addressing question 1. Like, we asked them again what entity they most align with, community, parent. That's
Yeah.
why we're asking that one again.
But because that'll skip them.
It's
I
the way
did-
the questions then align in terms of what they hear.
This is a skip
It's a
logic.
That's
skip
okay.
logic.
This is a
Skip logic on that one.
So if you answer here, it's gonna send you to,
Okay, you say parents, you
Parents.
say
So-
next, you go to
I'll give
these
you an
questions.
example. If you're a parent, you're going to get questions about the frequency
Yeah.
from your child's
Yeah,
teacher.
yeah.
But if you're a community member, you're going to get from the district only.
What was question
If you're a
18?
staff member, you're going to
It's
get
for
from
the
the
following
principal and
question.
district.
so I'm wondering if you need to put in there why you're asking this again.
follow-on questions, because they're gonna say, well, I already answered this at the beginning. This answer tells us which set of questions you'll get next.
Well, if they answer that in one, wouldn't we know that?
Well, if one, it's not, so,
Not
the purpose here is not to know.
We
This
know
is
it,
the
but we know it for all
branching.
questions.
Right.
This, I mean, skip logic is, they're not gonna get all the questions in
No,
that
I
next
get
section.
that, yeah. I just, I'm curious if you could skip logic one then.
Then you'd have to move this information to
Yeah.
right after one.
And I don't think that's,
I don't think it's possible.
Okay.
I really appreciate the ideas. This is great.
I'm a survey nerd, I can't help it.
Oh, no, I get it, yeah.
Last question, can people be more than one? Like, we have people who are
Yes.
staff
Yeah.
and parents, and it will skip them to both of those sections to
No, that,
answer?
in the beginning, we have that option.
So what
Okay.
about
So what about
here?
somebody who is a staff member in the district and needs to respond on how often they would
Yeah.
communicate, but they're
That's
also a
18,
parent?
that's the
Oh,
range.
that's
No,
why
but wait,
18.
you answer more than one.
Can you
it's not
choose
gonna
more
take
than
you
one,
both
or in
places.
that question, you have to choose?
What I put in there, if your parent rules, is kind of, I think it is.
Yeah, rules.
I didn't see it.
I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
think, but,
So it might directly say in there.
It did, I didn't see, so it did not.
But I do know that there's people who live dual.
It does, yeah, it does say like, click all the ones that apply.
On that first
On that
question.
first one, but not-
school district, school district employee or non-district employee, so.
Right, but what if you were a parent and staff? How would you know?
Right
which to
here,
do?
if you said you're a district employee, you should be still, and a parent, you get parent, right?
But then you won't have an opportunity to answer
Answer
the
is-
communication
That's
about
correct.
staff. You're giving up your opportunity
Okay,
to
so
take.
that, how will we get that data then? How the staff wants to be communicated with?
Well, do you have all your staff, or how much of your staff is actually have students at the same time here?
I guess I don't know that answer.
No, Jordan's one there, Jordan,
You mean
Steve.
that here or in the whole
I mean, there's
school?
two people in this school, or in this room.
People in this room.
It was a significant population.
I think you're probably gonna have maybe 10 to 15.
And that's,
You'll forget some. There's gonna be a lot of paras.
is it possible to do one like if you have, the skip logic is if you are more than one, then you get, it skips you to parent and
You could, yeah, I mean, I could do something like
survey
that.
monkey is not anymore, so.
Or could the question just come up and say, are you a parent in the district? Yes, and then it does the
Yeah.
next section. If you say no, it completely skips that
Skip all-
section.
yeah.
Are you a
you a-
staff member of the district?
I think we get what you're trying to
Yeah,
say,
that's
so
it.
we'll look into it.
Yeah.
I was curious with the ranking questions, I know you had indicated that you can you give people the right to like say this isn't a focus or whatever, but does that skew your ranking then?
Well, if,
Like, could you rank them 1 to 6, like just force rank, you have to reply a 1 to 6 in all the sections as opposed to saying not a priority?
you could, but that, not a priority is kind of the, none of the above
Okay.
option there. So what would happen there is, you know, if you, it's gonna, if you say out of 5, well, 2 of them are not a priority, you've got 1, 2, and 3 left.
Yeah.
So those will, all the ones will be collected together.
Oh, got it, okay. And then we also say, then under the ranking questions, there was like another series.
Right, it was, the first question is the ranking of the ones we heard from the,
Yeah. Are these more
section.
important, and then my question was, are those ones under the ranking, are we asking them if those are more important than the ones they ranked?
Yes.
More important.
Are any of these more important than the question, than those listed in the question prior?
Okay.
And the reason we're doing that is, we've said these are the 5 key themes. Are we right?
Okay.
Right?
That makes sense.
Or did something else that was brought up
Gotcha.
elevate?
Okay.
Right? And then, even more so, than the open-ended question, did we miss something? Did we not hear something?
The HR question, the HR reference was also confusing me. Like, in one area, we kind of defined HR as a personnel and sensitive topics issue. And then in the next question, we say HR, but classified as like a wellness and benefits role. That may confuse people.
Okay, I'll look at the
I'll look at
wording.
that one, yeah.
It was question 16.
Yep.
Yep.
That one we wrestled with a lot, I'm gonna tell you. Because I'm not sure how many people really will go there, but
Yeah,
it
I-
seemed to be something to vet.
I agree, I think if we're saying HR, we have to be consistent in what that.
And do we say HR or HR issue? Because we don't have an HR.
I think that was the point, that was the question actually, is do we need one? But then we say, do we need one for sensitive and personnel issues, do we need one for
Should we just say, do we need one?
Yeah.
Leave it open-ended. Got it.
And then
Any,
I
yeah.
have one for question 20. This is about.
Go for it.
How would you like to receive information from your child's teacher most preferred? So there's at the teacher conference, but I see that as episodic, different than emails, letters, text message. So I always want to talk to them at the teacher's conference, but if something happens during the day or something that they need to talk to me about that's outside the teacher conference,
so outside the teacher conference could go in the question.
yes, I think so.
Yeah,
because
I don't
that's
think
the
you need to
issue.
have
Yeah,
teacher
I hear you.
conferences. And if you could, I would take off any type of text messaging. Text
Yeah.
messaging right now, we are trying to discourage that because we have to create a record of it, records retention.
Thank you.
And there's like 3 of those opportunities, I think, text message from principal or,
Right,
if you could just
because
take
there are
that.
services that you can broadcast, so.
Well, we have those and we only use that for
For
emergency
emergency,
right
and
now.
that's just very specific around non-emergency.
They can't reply.
But then that text message
I
comes
get it.
from a system that is records retention.
I
Joanne
get it.
understands that. The other piece, there's some frequency stuff about how often you want to. I think you could, in my opinion, you can take off once a year, twice a year. I mean, there's some, I think the weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or not
Thank you.
bi-weekly, bi-monthly, or whatever it is, so. Those were kind of my things too.
Thank you. All right.
The only other thing I thought, and I like that the boxes are here, somebody taking the survey, if this is what it looks like online, they're going to think they can type 3 words. So if they can,
It keeps expanding.
could you put something
It's
in
just
there
the
that
way they
says?
print, Survey Monkey prints weird.
Oh, okay, so when you look at it, it won't look like you can only put X amount, okay, because they might not say what you want, they want to say.
Thank you.
Anything else? Awesome.
So we're looking at having the survey be live for about 2 weeks.
We're hoping to get it pushed out Sunday.
I think the question that we have is, and I'm looking for anyone, and this is one of those times where we need you to be an ambassador, is A, encourage people to take it, and then secondly, how do we get to people the best that don't have children in school? Is there something we can do to get this to community members in a different way? You know, we'll talk with you about putting something on the outdoor sign in terms of it's here, you can find it linked on the website.
Have you talked to the village?
Yeah, I'll talk to the village, I have a meeting with them tomorrow, I can talk to them
Their
tomorrow.
Facebook or their church.
Their sign,
Thank you.
we don't have a concert coming up, so keep looking there.
Well, that helped us last time.
And I'm trying to get it to you Sunday to release, but I gotta think through the other branching we just talked about, so. and then gotta
I
test
think
it.
again, let's make sure it's right the first time, and so take your time with it, I don't think there's
Yeah,
a,
we're not in a rush.
because our next time is like February
February
22nd, I think, or something.
February
like that,
6th.
so- No, 6th, and we knew we weren't gonna have
We're
it
not,
ready by
we're not
then.
gonna have it then. And if we don't have it, to be honest, the next meeting we have is February, after that,
February
20
20th.
Sorry, 20th. We may not then, and that's okay. I mean, we're looking at February, we've got March, April, I mean, we're okay.
How is it going out to non-school related people?
What
Well,
about?
that's always gonna be a bit tricky, because, you know, it's gonna be on the website for the school district, but you don't go to the website, right? So there's gonna be some other way,
Someone
and,
sends out an email to a few people in the community, not big, but,
yeah.
What if
I
we,
can link
what
to
if we
that.
printed
Hang
a
on a moment.
couple,
Just continue, and then we'll get
I
to it.
mean, it'll be on, I can just link in my my newsletter, the link there, right?
Right.
To the school website.
And if there's some opportunity with the village, that'd be great too.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, the village has their own social media.
The printing out a QR code that links to the survey and posting it in a few high traffic, highly visible areas in the community is, I think, because that's one place people aren't gonna see it, so I don't know what those places are.
I was like, it's a big those are your choices.
Well, we're changing, we're changing.
Post office.
Post office, post office.
If they allow that kind of thing,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Oh, I know.
federal property, I don't know if they allow
I
advertising.
think they're like a community board.
Do they?
Community board.
I know Heartland does.
Yeah,
And then the Merton.
post
I can
office,
talk to her and get it in.
yeah.
Feed mill.
Just put it up if you want.
No, I was-
Bill?
yeah.
Humdingers, not Humdingers anymore.
Why don't we all just
I
go
don't know
there
if we
after
want
this
to
and
very
answer?
good our patrons completing this survey.
Yeah,
Spill this out.
it's all my best.
So we'll be working on getting that out. You know, maybe Sunday might be overly aggressive, you know, overly assertive, but we'll give you an update when it is, so that you know. And we'll send you a link to get out to people and, you know, a QR code and a link to get it out as well.
Everybody feel comfortable with, having it out there 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Well, that's plenty then.
Is there, I know I'm just throwing it out there, but is there any type of incentive once it's completed, that you get something out of it for?
Free ice cream or something?
Yeah.
No, we have
Yeah.
Merton
We
Club,
don't-
spring bags we can give away.
No, but, I mean, it's that, I'm just throwing it
I
out there.
didn't talk with Ron about doing anything of an incentive on it, but I will see. I have
Are
to
we
be honest,
collecting
I've not
anything that
seen
would
that,
allow us
I
to
see
give
that
them
work
one
with
to the
students better than I've seen that work with adults.
Okay.
You
Um,
actually
that's
have
my,
a link to a separate website and put that information in there, so it's a separate link.
I think if it goes on the district website, district communication, any community, whether it's boards, whether it's at the post office or village hall, on the signs, Quick Trip would be great. Everybody goes there. I don't know, but I think that's probably realistically is social media is probably the best we can do, all of those places together.
and I know if you were doing,
Yeah.
you know, I know, I just worked in a district that did a community survey every 3 years. And they sent out a postcard with a link, but that was a big perceptions community survey. I don't think this warrants that, if, you know, because we're trying to vet the strategic plan feedback we have. You know, I think if you do a full-out community survey, much like you do with school perceptions, you know, and if that would be something you do, then I think you do a mailing and you put something out and you put it in there for people to take.
Trying to get our community mailing, because we're in all these different, having done a mailing recently, you have to buy all the different roads,
Right, it's a lot.
It's not a little process.
No. Well, it's an easy process because you have somebody else do it, and that's what we do.
Right.
That's what you hire people to do as part of the printing and things like that. Let me see if I can dig up some HOA information
Oh, good idea.
and reach out to those folks and, learn more here. I can just put it out there, and they have
Awesome.
communications.
There's
all-
neighborhood Facebook sites
They have all their own
too,
little-
like Mark River
Yeah.
does, Thousand Oaks does, like.
I can reach out to them.
Yeah.
What's that? I don't know who's in charge.
What's going on?
I don't know.
All right. Thank you for your feedback for tonight. Our meeting will be here on February 6th at 6 p.m. Like I say, we're going to work on those plans. We'll give you an update on the strategic plan survey, but we won't have data. And then we'll begin to potentially, I don't know if we'll get to this, draft some goals for those known areas. Might do a quick activity, almost as an icebreaker, to get some goal language down. But really, the bulk of what we're doing is trying to populate those pillars with what are the big hitting items. So if you are inclined to look at the list, at the themes, that's what you're starting to look for. What did I see in here that would go in a workforce engagement pillar? What did I see in here that would rise to the top for something regarding students? What do I see that would rise to the top regarding community engagement? That's what we're going to be focusing on. And then what's that big other pillar? Not that we necessarily need it, I don't know, but we'll see how that all works. But that's where we're going to head next time. I just want to compliment you. You guys are awesome. It's so fun to come and have you be so engaged. I really appreciate all that you bring to the table. This is really enjoyable work. Thank you very, very, very much. Have a good rest of your evening. Drive home safely. Tell me to do the same.
I'm a student.